One of the important goals of the ACS strategic plan is to inspire global citizens. Well, to inspire global citizens, we need to help produce children who have a healthy sense of self and strong social emotional skills. Our curriculum for social emotional learning comes from the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning, or CASEL, and it revolves around 5 key areas that you can see here. While our counselors, Valerie and Stephanie, work with the lessons and learning at the center of this wheel, all of which are extremely important, there are also many practices that ensure that this is not only something that's mentioned and learned through our counselors. For example, you'll see a lot of overlap between these central areas of social emotional learning and the ACS approaches to learning. This is where some of the crossover happens. As part of the strategic plan, we've worked this year to make the approaches to learning a part of every class at ACS. They're not just on the report card, but they're also in assignments, they're in learning activities, they're in class conversations. They're part of a goal setting, and they're also a reason for lots of our celebration. So we've created a system of data dialogues around these approaches to learning. It helps teachers to work collaboratively on finding ways to help strengthen student behaviors. So in the same way we examine reading data, we then implement strategies to create improvements for students based on their needs. And the same system has now been put into place using data from our approaches to learning. For example, recently after the first semester report cards were completed, we took a look at all of the data that we got from the grade 1 to grade 5 report cards, and individual teams had a chance to really meet and take a look at each of these approaches to learning in depth through the data that was collected, and start to look for differences between classrooms, start to talk about practices that were helpful in supporting each of these. And as a parent, if you look at each of these that are here on the screen, every one of them is very important for the future of our children. And think about what they're going to be doing later on in college, certainly in their professional career, and just in life in general. So what's important is that teachers treat these approaches to learning just as they would treat every other academic area. One of the initiatives that's been very strong for helping with the strategic plan is also the use of an elementary team called the Caring Core. This team meets weekly and looks at ways in which we're providing rich social emotional learning opportunities for the core group of students. And then there's targeted and supported interventions for some students who are currently demonstrating a greater degree of need. And then there's intensive interventions that we know are helpful for students who are experiencing greater difficulty. This process is actually very similar to our approach to academics as well. Of course, the percentages will change a lot from area to area, but generally we want to always provide a strong and differentiated core curriculum, an effective set of targeted support strategies, and a way to reach more intensive needs when necessary. Finally, it's important to mention 2 specific frameworks that we're developing this year to support our strategic plan focus on social emotional learning. First, I am a model ACS learner and citizen unit. This is something that we've been implementing for a couple of years now, and it's one that is implemented in every single classroom from KG1 all the way up to grade 5. It's focused on our C3 approach to social studies, the idea of being a citizen, whether it's being a citizen in life or in a community or in a government, or being a citizen in your classroom. It's a way that we start off the school year. We're creating our classroom communities, and we're looking very carefully at those approaches to learning that you saw earlier and at our 4 core values. But since we've been doing this for a couple of years, we realized it was time to do a revamp. So we're now looking at the 2.0 version of this unit. We're going to have a group of teachers come together, about 2 from each grade level, and they're going to actually work for a week or so before the beginning of the school year, before all the others arrive back to Abu Dhabi and get their year started. This group of teachers is going to come together and look for innovative ways to use technology, to find more engaging other ways of interacting with core values and with approaches to learning, and really setting up classroom communities from the very beginning in a way that is exciting and is really transformative for the classes next year. So this collaboration and this idea sharing is going to be very helpful. On the other side, we have a really growing support for an approach called responsive classroom. And it's really growing because I think each teacher that gets the training and starts to implement it in their classroom is seeing a real difference in terms of the way the classroom community works together, the way the social emotional learning of students really blossoms, and the way that kids are able to really address situations around anxiety or stress that really could become a big barrier to their academic learning. So bit by bit, teacher by teacher, we've been getting this training, and then now we have different systems for which teachers are able to teach each other and do studies together and do something called lab sites that you'll be able to see and learn more about in another one of these videos if you look for another one. And it's a way that we're getting this responsive classroom strategy into all of our elementary classrooms. Most importantly, it's good for kids. So these are a few of the ways that we have been developing our future global citizens this year as part of the ACS strategic plan.